I can pretty much face tank her. See, like, this build's actually, like, really good. But the weakness to it is definitely dots on the ground. Frost Bomb. What does Frost Bomb do? Oh! Isn't it beautiful? You guys ever just go into the overgrown hideout, turn up the ambient sound, and listen to the birds? It's freaking beautiful. Alright, that's gonna be distracting. Let me talk to you first about why I want to share this build. Do I think it's optimal or optimized? Absolutely not. But that's exactly why I want to share it, because it's still good. And the fact that I have a good build that is not yet optimized means that you are able to make it better or personalized, to make it your own. I'll give you a little bit of the ideas that I had, of deviations you can make from this that might actually just be better than this build. But otherwise, I want to leave it up to you all to, tweak this build and make a good build great. This build can clear pretty much all content that I've really come across so far. But I know it can definitely be a lot better, and it can clear the content easier if it's more optimized. So first things I'll run through are the things I don't like to do right now, or that are difficult for me. I don't like doing Beyond. That's somewhat me personally. I have personal vendetta against Beyond, but if you really like Beyond, I'm sure you can make it work for you. It has a lot of dots, so this build is relatively weak to damage over time, because I've built it dodge based. There are way more ways that you can build this for sure for defenses, but that's how I have. It is weak to the dodge is unlucky mod. I don't like running that mod if I don't have to. You could still run it. You could still do the map fine. It just makes me sad. And I don't like doing the chance to avoid poison. Monsters have a choice to avoid poison. Just means you do poop all for damage. But like I said, you could still run it. It just freaking sucks. So it's not really ideal. That being said, you could pretty much run anything. Physical reflect, elemental reflect, doesn't really matter. I do like 35 to 90 physical damage. It doesn't hurt, not even a little bit. Most of your damage is chaos, and you have crazy life gain on hit. So if you hit something, you heal more than that back every hit, so it's fine. So from there, let's talk about different ways that you can defend yourself when you're running a build like this. So I'm pretty defensive. This is one of the tankiest builds I've ever had. At the end of the video, I'm gonna have a little showcase of how tanky this build actually is, where I sit in face tanking a tier 16 harvest for like 2 straight minutes. I'll speed it up so you don't have to sit through 2 minutes of it, but it's insane. So my chances to dodge spells and attacks is at 55%. Estimated chance to evade is not actually 47. It's actually much higher than that. And I'll explain why a little bit more into the build. But our evasion rating ends up being very, very high. We do have a chance to block as well. 20%. It's not nothing. That means like you block 1 in 5 attacks. That's pretty nuts. And your movement speed is insane. Like, this is just me running around normally. And my chest piece, the chest piece I'm using is literally slowing me down. So you guys could probably do better. So I'm going to start actually first with my tree, just to explain a couple things. So I'm going Raider. Most people would say, why are you going Raider if you're doing poison? I don't know. I wanted to play Raider. What can I say? I really liked the playstyle. I had a lot of fun playing this. It's one of my favorite builds. I want to share it. I went Raider. You get free onslaught, free phasing, crazy amount of free dodge, and you get free frenzy charges. I like free stuff. Free stuff is awesome. What you don't get a lot free is health. You're gonna struggle to get a lot of life on the tree. At least I did, and I have a theory that if you went into cluster jewels, you're actually able to get much more life than I was able to squeeze out. In fact, I barely use any jewels as it is. I'm only using one, with another plan to put one here if I ever level up enough. I'm level 93. Um, so yeah, I mean, you don't get a lot of life, and that is the struggle. I'm at 5,000, and I have pretty good gear. Um, so that is the one downside. But I mean, even with like 4,500 on like way weaker gear, I was still safe. You know, this build's pretty tanky through other methods. So you're grabbing acrobatics and phase acrobatics for extra dodge chance. We're really built around dodge, so you really want that. Um, and, you know, from there, it's just scrape at whatever defenses you can find. There's more defenses available that I didn't touch on in this build, but you can. You could go for elusive. There's this node here, and I'm sure you can get it on gear as well. You can convert evasion rating to armor and get really, really, really high physical damage reduction. That's also an option. You can go block based. You have a lot of block nodes all around here and here. So you can focus way more heavily on block. That's an option. But I'm also using Wind Dancer, and this is why I said my evasion rating looks a little bit sketchy. It's because right now I have 40% less evasion rating until I get hit. So the trick to this is just get hit once and then never get hit again. So you just have to survive one hit, and you take less damage with that one hit. So that's how you survive it. I'm also using Fortify on my Whirling Blades, so as I'm dashing around, I get a little bit tankier. So if I ever do take a hit, it gets reduced by a pretty significant margin. And that's pretty much how I'm running my defenses. But please go out experimenting and find some other things that work for you, because there's a lot of other ways that you can defend yourself other than just doing dodge and evasion rating. So damage nodes, I have anointed this because it saves you, what, 4 points? It might not seem like a lot, and it's not really a lot. In fact, I really hope someone else can create a build that can fit this in, because there are some way better anoints, I think, other than this, if you're able to fit this in. For example, you might not even need to use Cobra Lash if you can find a good way to clear with Viper Strike, using Melee Splash and possibly anointing Tribal Fury. That's another option. But I didn't do that. But, you know, that's why I want other people to play around with it, to find different ways to play this same skill. And I'm sure there's lots of ways that works. I actually just really think that Raider is a good option for this. Although most people would want to go Pathfinder, or I don't know if people still go Assassin. Because there might be a crit version of Viper Strike that exists if you were to go crit with Claws. There's a lot of crit nodes, and you could use Coralito's signature as well. Those are just options. If you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, you can go and Google these things and do your own research and whatnot. I'm just here presenting what's in front of me, the stuff that I've kind of come up with. So if you were leveling this build, I would get the Frenzy Charges pretty late on. For Ascendancy, I went and grabbed both Onslaughts first. They give you a lot of action and movement speed, so it helps you with leveling a lot. You're just really fast, and you get evasion from this, so that helps for survivability as well. But honestly, you just want to go fast early on anyways. And I didn't pick up Frenzy Charges until my third Ascendancy, so there was no point in taking them on the tree. So I actually came to this region pretty late, but you can grab Wind Dancer and possibly these two early. But, you know, you can grab these really whenever you want. The way you can build this is pretty flexible. Just grab whatever damage nodes you kind of come across. So this is really good because it increases your chance of poisoning, which helps with keeping your Herald of Agony up early. There's these two as well. So if you're coming down to get, you know, Wind Dancer anyways early on, you can pick up these nodes right away. Next, I would probably move up towards here, because this is super quality of life. So realistically, you probably want this as early as you can get it. This is going to give you all the leech you're ever going to need, ever. I don't even have mana on hit from my claws. I'm not using Gemini claws, I'm using Imperial. So all of my recovery comes from this leech, and it's more than enough. So this one's really good. And yeah, from there, I mean, you can work your way up and grab this stuff at your own leisure. From there, it's really up to you wherever you feel like going. Uh, I decided to go up and grab this to see how I liked it, how it feels. It's actually super similar in damage to grabbing these nodes down here. They are very similar in damage on Path of Building, so you can experiment with that if you'd like. It might make it easier to come and grab this. I'm not entirely sure. Play around with it a bit. But yeah, this is what the tree looks like. It's pretty top to bottom, and so I think this is why it's not optimized. I think there's going to be a way better way to run this tree. But right now, this works. Like I said, I've cleared a lot of content in the game with this tree, so it's good, but I think it could be better. And, you know, that's why I like the Path of Exile community, because you guys are really creative, and everyone can work together and come up with something awesome. At least that's what I wish it looked like. So I'll just quickly run through my items. First things first, I was solo self-found up until a week ago. So all of these items are relatively new, but I killed Sirus for my first time on solo self-found with a 5-link, same armor, Queen of the Forest. It was 5-linked, not even 6, and I had 2 unique claws that I had found in solo self-found, and they were wasp nests. So with 2 wasp nests and a 5-link, I was already able to kill Sirus. You know, relatively decently. It was pretty hard, you know. I'm not very good at the mechanics. I kind of suck at this game. I'm sure you guys would have a much better time, but it was doable with 2 2 wasp. How many times am I gonna have to edit this video? 2 wasp nests and a 5-link. So, you know, that can be your starting point. It really isn't too much from there. I'm using some relatively cheap super cheap uniques. They're like actually like a chaos or less. 2 uniques in this build right now, and they probably have, you know, better things you can pick. I'll explain why I'm using them, but I'm just gonna start. So these are the uniques I'm using. I'm using Snake Bite. Since we're running Frenzy Charges, this kind of just made sense, and I didn't even know it existed. I found it in solo self-found. I was like, huh, I should put these on. I was running Embalmer, and then I realized that I'm Raider. This would be so sick if I was playing Raider, which I am. So I put them on, and as of right now, I actually don't know what a better glove would be. These are sick. Maybe there are better gloves, though. Find them. Do it. I dare you. And we've got these boots, which are also super cheap, like dirt cheap, like nobody wants them cheap. But look, it gives us chance to dodge spell hits while phasing. We are always phasing. Evasion rating increased during onslaught. As far as I know, that is in fact global, and we are always on onslaught. So we just have an insane evasion rating boost. I don't know if there's better than this, but man, these are the foundation for a lot of my defense. They just give me so much more defense. Next would be Queen of the Forest. This is not the best in slot. This is not even close to the best in slot. This is the 6-link I have, and so I'm using it. This is not the best in slot. It is good. It is quite good. It gives you a lot of evasion rating, gives you some resistances. It is currently reducing my movement speed because my evasion rating is not high enough. So that's not ideal. I mean, I'm doing my best, but no, this is not ideal. I'm sure you guys can cook up something way more expensive and better than this. Like the Perfect Form, I'm sure is better. You can get Arctic Armor for free, which is another defensive layer, which probably means you would never die. Yeah, so that's that. I'm going to get into a bit of the more intensive, expensive gear now. These are all upgrades from when I went from solo self-found to trade, so they are on the more expensive side. Each of my claws were in the ballpark of 4 to 6 exalted each. Relative to other builds, that's not bad. In fact, I 6-linked this myself, by the way, in 300 fusings, if I might add. So, you know, getting a 6-link armor, That can also be pricey, but these weapons are about 6 each, exalted. So what you're looking for on these, this is the pretty much best in slot. Like, of course, they could have better numbers. I don't really care too much about some of the things. What you really care about, the only mods you care about are 1. You want high attack speed, over 20%. 2. You want added chaos damage. Flat added chaos damage. Can only happen on a base item level 83 or higher. 3. You want chance for poisons inflicted with this weapon to deal 100% more damage. You can only get this on Elder Claws or things that drop in the mine, I believe, but I haven't found that myself. And you want the ability for an open prefix to craft chaos damage over time multiplier. As far as I'm concerned, this is perfect. This is all I want. The extra damage with poison is just a bonus, but it's not necessary. It's nice. It's just not exactly needed. If you want to go a little bit more budget and that's not there, it doesn't matter that much. And you can see pretty much the same thing over here. I've got the same thing going on. You know, the physical damage conversion doesn't matter. Increased damage with poison doesn't really matter. What you care about, added chaos, attack speed, chance with poisons to deal more damage, and chaos dot multi. That's what I care about. That's why I have this weapon. Those, as far as I know, are probably the best in slot. Like I said, you can probably tweak it and harvest craft it to make it perfect, get every single perfect mod, but this'll run you. This'll do pretty much the job. Onto the helmet. This helmet gives us the enchant Plague Bearer buff, grants 20% to poison damage over time multiplier while infecting. That, to me, is the best enchant you can get. As far as I know, that's the best one you can get because you're pretty much always infecting. I'll explain that when I get into the gems after, but you want that enchant. From there, I crafted this myself, +2 to level of socketed aura gems. You could do that with essences until you get good life. I got mediocre life, and I took it. So that's what this is. It's not a perfect helmet, but I have my auras in here, and that's all there is to it. This amulet, I have anointed 30 techniques, as I explained before, but it's just got life, it's got strength and intelligence, which I both needed, and it's got resists. Plain simple, done. Probably something better, I don't know. Let's talk about our rings. So, you're pretty much looking for the same thing. I think you should be able to get added chaos damage to attacks, hopefully on both. I don't have it on both, but that would be really, really beneficial. That actually increases your damage by a lot. So getting that would be really good. This ring is for Plague Bearer specifically because that scales super, super well with levels. In other cases, you can maybe attach it to an Empower gem and get the same effect. But I have a level 21 Plague Bearer in a +3 to level of socketed gems. That makes it level 24. That makes it good. I like that. Other than that, you know, it's got life. It's got resists. Not great, to be honest, but I just needed to level the socketed gems. This might not be even the best way to do it. This was just my idea. Hopefully you like it. Maybe you'll have your own. And lastly, the belt is a Stygian Vise. I think Stygian Vises are nuts. Aren't they just, like, the best thing ever? I don't know. I got a hunter mod because, you know, we struggle to find life, as I explained before. Finding life on the tree is difficult. A hunter mod gives us the 8% increased. We have 109 max life on this one. This belt is really, really good. It wasn't exactly cheap, but I kind of needed it for more. I wanted it for more life. This jewel, I'm pretty sure I just got this crafted myself, found it eventually. I don't know. It has all the things I want on it. Added chaos damage to attacks, life, chaos res, and then frenzy charge duration. It's not necessary. It's just there. It's a thing. So that's... Oh, and this flask, also important. Flasks are very important. Let's go through the flasks. We have a Divine Life of Staunching. Removing bleed is super important because we're weak to dots. Have Staunching. You can have it an instant flask. You can have it a non-instant flask. Sometimes I prefer non-instant to instant. It really just depends. Most of the time, you prefer instant. Doesn't matter. Have staunching. Second is Witchfire Brew. This one is a bit quality of life because you don't have to self-cast the curse this way. Increase damage over time during Flask, and that's all we really use it for. I'll explain why. Quartz Flask of Heat. So I always recommend having the immunity to freeze, remove freeze, and increased duration is always good. This is just, but we wanted it to be a Quartz Flask. It gives us 10% more chance to dodge attack and spell hits. So we have another 10% on top of everything. It's really good. Brings us to 65%. I use this Stibnite Flask, and I know what you're thinking. Isn't this a Stibnite Flask too? Yeah, it is. But look what this has. It has 20 to maximum charges on it. Also, remove curse. Very important on Flasks. Always have remove curse. 20 to maximum charge. And it has quality 20%. It lasts 6 seconds, and you can use it 5 times. That pretty much means permanent uptime of remove curses. That's why I use this. That's why I keep it. Because it has such low consumption, and I can have it literally always on while I'm fighting. That's why I have this. Flasks are super important, and I can use this permanently. And last is a Jade Flask. You get another 3,000 to evasion rating. And I have it removing poison. You could also remove burning. It's up to you. But just have a Jade Flask. So if I were to pop all 3, 4, and 5, you'll see exactly what happens. So let's pop just 3 right now, and we'll look at the dodge chance. Turns to 65% for both. Very, very nice. And let's look at evasion rating when I pop both. It's 64%, and that's when it's less. So if we happen to take 1 hit, this jumps up to maximum, pretty much. And so when you're fighting, I pretty much will be keyboarding all my Flasks. 2, 3, 4, 5. And the one I can pretty much, if I just have 1 Flask, the entire map, it would not even be my life Flask. This can pretty much keep you alive by itself through an entire map. So sometimes, I'm lazy. I just press number 4, and I'm safe. It's so good. This Flask, better than Christmas. Yes. So Pantheon is the last thing, kind of build oriented I want to talk about. It's Soul of Lunaris. I mean, I'm lazy. I haven't gotten the other things, but grab Shock and Horror, and this is your go-to. You get additional chance to dodge attack and spell if you've been hit recently. So your Wind Dancer procs, and this will proc, and you just never get hit ever again. You get hit once, say no, and then that's it. I have this taken as well. So if you've taken a Savage hit, which is like kind of always, you get hit once, you get another 5% chance to evade. Alright, so let me talk about the playstyle of this build. It can be a little bit intensive because you're keeping track of several things as you're playing. The easy part is when you're clearing, you use Cobra Lash. When you need to single target something down, you use Viper Strike. Pretty simple, but there's things you have to keep track of. One, the Flasks are pretty important, and you should be using them kind of all throughout your map. I normally piano, but as long as you're using this Stibnite Flask, you're probably okay. The other thing you have to keep track of, and this one's important, is your Plague Bearer. This gives you so much extra damage, especially with your Helmet enchant. And so make sure you keep track of your Plague Bearer, and make sure it's once it gets to maximum, you pop it right away, and you can continue clearing. Keep your eye on it. It'll automatically incubate for you. Just keep your eye on it and constantly be reactivating it when you need to. That'll make sure that your damage is always as high as possible. So I have it at level 24 inside the ring. For other gems, your Cobra Lash setup is Cobra Lash with lesser multiple projectile support. Added chaos damage support, level 21 is nice. And unbound ailment support. In my gloves, I have multiple totem support. attached to Spell Totem and Wither. There's other ways to get Wither. As far as I know, there's a Cluster Jewel that allows you to get Wither, so you can look into that. I would think that is much more reasonable than having to put these totems down, but it's just for bosses anyways. Most of the time you don't need it. And Despair is self-cast, so once again, it's pretty much just for bosses, but if you have this flask up, then you don't need it. I had it self-cast before I got this flask, when I was back in Solo Southbound, so that's why I still have the gem. I use it sometimes. Most of the time I don't need it, though. It's just, if I ever, some reason, don't have this up, I'll remember, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I can use that. In my weapon, I have blood magic support for Whirling Blades. This is very quality of life. You will never be using your mana, which is limited, to use this, and your life regen is high enough to sustain it. You can't even see my HP go down for very long. And I've got Fortify on it. Keep you alive, you know? This could be a higher level. I'm trolling. I didn't even realize I wasn't leveling it. My strength is high enough to level it, I think, a couple more times. Oops. We've got cast when damage taken with Immortal Call. Is good. You should use. And Void Sphere. This is something I've been experimenting with. There's also Purifying Flame would be my other recommendation to give you consecrated ground. But Void Sphere will pull enemies away from you. It's a kind of CC that you kind of just don't expect to be kind of quality of life. It's quite nice, actually. Play around with it. Purifying Flame, also very nice because it gives you the life regen, which could be super useful if you ever are facing a damage over time. Yeah. In my helmet, I have my auras. So we have Enlighten. I don't have a level 4, but I'm sure you could get one if you wanted. I've got Malevolence, Herald of Agony, and Precision. What you could play around with are different ways to reduce mana reserved, and maybe fit in something like Skitterbots, which could increase your damage by quite a lot. If you're able to figure out a way to effectively put it in. I am using Precision to help with accuracy. I feel like a lot of melee builds need this. It's hard to be accurate. Your gloves help with that a little bit, but you know, not all that much. They'll bring it to 100%, but you know, it's yeah. And Viper Strike setup is Viper Strike level 21 is pretty necessary. It's not expensive to get a level 21. This was like maybe 10 chaos. 21, 23, 10 chaos. It's not a popular build. This is not even ideal. I just had it. So I'm using Void Manipulation support. That's not even the best in slot. You would want either... I think Melee Physical and Multi-Strike will do more damage than this. But I had a level 21 just lying around, so I threw it in. So this is not ideal. Also, you'll notice none of my gems are awakened. That is a very clear upgrade to this build, is having awakened gems. We've got Deadly Ailment support. We've got Vile Toxin support. Unbound Ailment support. And added Chaos damage. This one also get to level 21. The other ones aren't as important, but these ones give you flat damage, so make sure those are level 21. The next thing I just want to really quickly mention is that I said that I was using this Despair gem sometimes still, and you have this flask, but another quality of life you could look for is getting Despair on hit on a ring. That is an option. Alright, I think I covered literally everything my brain hole could think of. If you have additional questions, you can go ahead and ask them, and I might respond. Probably. What I really hope, though, is you're able to brainstorm, use this build as a framework. You could copy it exactly if you really want to, but otherwise, you could brainstorm and make this build better, or make it your own and play it in your own playstyle, your own way that you want to. In any case, I hope you stop by my stream, say hi, tell me how you like the build, tell me how you like me, tell me I'm pretty, I don't know, twitch.tv/landthepandas, and I will see you there. Goodbye. I got guns in my head and they won't go, spirits in my head and they won't go, guns Visions in my head and they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. So take my hand, I wanna grow old with you beside me. One person sit down with me. One person stand up for me. One person is all I need to make me feel I'm worth it. Raindrops falling on rooftops, falling on asphalt, falling on my head. 'Cause I found a house, somewhere inside. I found a place, but I can't find a home.
Here's some bamboo, you're one of us. There's so much to do in the land of pandas.